Meet Kevin's house hack is using slimy, dirty, vulture capitalist tactics to steal homes from desperate Americans to enrich himself. Equity hack, which is a component of house hack, provides a solution where the company would provide a lump sum in exchange for reasonable repayment terms and a percentage of any future sale or refinancing of the property. Meet Kevin's house hack is getting into the lending business. And it's not because he wants some interest income, some interest revenue from loans. No, he actually has a very well thought out, disgusting strategy to use financing from house hack to desperate families in order to eventually, potentially, probably take possession of their home when they inevitably default on the exorbitant loan that he made to them. A significant portion of the company's wedge strategy is its equity hack program. The company believes that wedge opportunities can be found in the financing of real estate assets. Currently, there are millions of real estate owners that have a great deal of equity in their real estate and wish to unlock that equity. So we always hear Kevin talking about finding these wedge deals, which is, I guess, is a property that's listed for less than its fair market value. So he swoops in because he's such a genius. He has an AI that scans all the properties. He identifies amazing properties using his real estate investing skills. He comes in and he buys the property, fixes it up, and then either rents it or sells it. That's what he's saying on the surface. But if you dive a little bit further into the financial reports, you actually see the dirty truth. In that Meet Kevin is using these loans to acquire properties. Because if somebody owes you money and they can't pay you back, you have leverage over them and you could potentially get their home from them when you foreclose at a better deal than normal fair market value. Interesting stuff. Now, what are some traditional methods to unlock home equity? Well, a normal person would go to a bank. Okay, they'd say, hey, I need some money. I need to do a project. I need to fix up my bathroom. I need to remodel my kitchen. Maybe I had some large expense come up and I don't have the cash sitting around. Maybe I'll borrow some money from a bank. So traditional methods to unlock your home equity, which is just the difference between the fair market value of your property and the amount that you owe on the property, your mortgage. You can take a home equity loan, which is a fixed amount of debt that you can use for whatever you want and you pay it back. You can do a cash out refinance, or you can do a home equity line of credit. And you can go to any bank, Bank of America, JP Morgan, whoever offers these products, right? So if you really think about it, why would a family use Meet Kevin's house hack instead of going through a traditional bank? I wonder why. Equity Hack plans to engage homeowners who may not have access to traditional methods of financing real estate, such as bank refinancing or home equity lines of credit. Let me translate that for you. Meet Kevin wants to lend money to people who are disqualified to borrow money from traditional banks. Do you want to know why? Because these people have poor credit, and a bank that is doing its own due diligence has decided that these people are too much of a risk to lend money to because these people could default, because they're at a high risk of default. But that serves Kevin's purposes very well now, doesn't it? Okay? Meet Kevin is lending money to poor, desperate people with the ulterior motive, in my opinion, of using that leverage to acquire properties for much less than fair market value. Dirty, 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 Kevin. The company, HouseHack, has a team of professionals who will work with homeowners to find an innovative and flexible solution of their funding needs. So HouseHack, the last I checked, has 5 employees. The 2 that I know of for certain are Meet Kevin on the right, Mr. FTX Pumper, and fund manager of the PP ETF, which has outperformed the market, and a 25-year-old intern who knows how to speak Spanish. That's his claim to fame. And then he went on a mission trip to Chile. So you would imagine people like McKay Thomason on the left and Meet Kevin Pathrath on the right. I guess this is part of the team of professionals that is evaluating the risks of making loans to these poor, desperate families that are disqualified from getting loans from traditional lenders. I'm sure they're doing a lot of due diligence. And I'm sure they have no ulterior motive to hopefully have the family default so they can get the property at a much lower price. I don't know. What do you think about that, guys? If the property owner fails to make required payments, the company may foreclosure, I think it should be foreclose, on the property. So we have a home here on the left that is foreclosed because they took on a huge amount of debt. They were desperate. They needed the money. Meet Kevin swoops in. Hey, I'll loan you money. Yeah, I'll give you a good deal, right? The family inevitably defaults because they're already in bad financial straits. They would not be going to Meet Kevin's equity hack or house hack to borrow money if they weren't well off. They would go to a traditional bank. And then on the right, we have a crying baby, okay? But Meet Kevin made some money. And you, as the investors in HouseHack, you made some money as well. So who cares, right? So let's review Kevin's master plan. What is it? What is the grand strategy here to find these wedge deals? Is it because he's a genius and he can just scan a property and know exactly, what is a good deal to buy so he can make a bunch of money for HouseHack investors? No, it's very simple what he's doing. This is my opinion. Step 1. You find a poor, desperate family. You find a family that is on its last legs, that is piled up with bills, that is desperate. They're struggling. They can barely make ends meet. And they try to go to the bank. The bank won't lend them money because they're just too much of a risk. But then you have Meet Kevin, who's a good guy. Look, he's smiling. He wears a suit. He's going to lend this family money out of the kindness of his heart with no ulterior motive, right? So the family decides, okay, we're going to go with equity hack and we're going to borrow some money. Next. Now, I cannot confirm this, but here's my understanding of risk. The more risky a loan, the higher the interest rate. If a bank is not giving a family a loan, that means the risk is exorbitant. So I would imagine Meet Kevin is giving high interest rates, which means the payments are high, which means it's difficult for the family to pay back the debt. And when they fail to do that, I guess we have to foreclose. And I just got my wedge deal, okay? So I've got this graphic of 500% here. I don't know what his terms are. They're probably on a case-by-case basis. It's a little bit of exaggeration. But suffice it to say, I don't think these families are getting low interest rates to borrow money in their desperate time of need. How convenient. So he offers pretty high borrowing rates, right? Because he's a good guy, Then he waits for the family to default. Remember, these are not well-off families. These are families that can't even borrow money from a traditional bank. They're on their last legs. They're desperate. And in comes Meet Kevin. Gives them a loan, gets a stake in the property, and probably buys it when they foreclose. Interesting now, isn't it? Now, after the family defaults, which I know he hopes they do, he seizes the property, he buys the property, and he claims he got a wedge deal. How do you feel about this, folks? Do you think Meet Kevin is actually a great real estate investor? He knows how to identify properties because he's just so experienced? Just like he was with his PPETF and his FTX endorsements? Or do you think potentially he's using very exploitative vulture capitalist tactics to saddle desperate families with debt, and when they can't repay, he swoops in, buys the property, and claims he got a wedge deal? What do y'all think about this? Anyway, like, subscribe, check out the pinned comment. Hope you learned a little bit about House Hack. If you choose to invest in this company, you should definitely read the financial reports. We've got earnings coming up, I believe tomorrow, which I will be reacting to those as well. And I hope you don't lose all your money. Have a wonderful, delicious day.